Hi, we're the Cooking Family, and one of our missions is to help families cook and eat great meals together. And so the meal that we're going to show you how we make tonight is ham and beans. It's a family favorite that I grew up eating, and it's always so filling and delicious and so easy to make that even kids can put this meal on really quickly. So Abigail is going to tell you what ingredients we use in this soup.
Okay, so for the ingredients, we just have 4 simple ingredients. We're going to be using Great Northern beans, and you can use any kind of beans that you have on hand or want in your soup. We just like these for our meal, this certain meal. And then we have a ham hock that we just sliced the meat off of the bone, and now we're going to put it into the soup, and it's going to be delicious. And then we have an onion, and we're just going to dice that and throw that in for flavor. And then we hope everybody has this ingredient, and it's water. And so
if you want to find the recipe, it's at thecookingfamily.com or at the top of this live video link. And you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thecookingfam. So here's how you get started. We go ahead and turn on the Instant Pot. This is the Instant Pot Ultra. And so you have a little bit more control. And Abigail's going to set this to 30 minutes on the bean chili setting. You can use manual or pressure cook if your particular model doesn't have a bean chili setting. So Abigail's going to go ahead and add a little water just so that it can start getting heated up.
So I'm just going to pour this water in, and then later on we're going to pour in more water. We're just doing a little bit right now so that when we add all of our stuff in and we find out that it's past the max fill for pressure cooking, then that would be disappointing. So we're just going to start with that, and then I'm going to put in this ham hock, and later we will take it out and cut it up. And here's the towel. And then we'll put it back in and mix it up. So now Abraham will cut an onion. Yes.
So the first thing that you're going to do when you're cutting an onion is cut off this stem end right here. This is the root end that has all these little brown, tough things that you don't want in your soup. So we're going to cut off the stem end, just like that, and put it on its little feet that we've just made, and cut through the root end all the way through. And there you have 2 halves. And I'm just going to peel off the top layer of this onion, and that the top layer takes all the wear of the handling as it comes to your kitchen. So we're just going to peel that off, that papery stuff off.
And it's totally great if you go on down to that next layer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little easier to peel, and sometimes you have a little papery skin up there at the top. And my dad always said, a good cook always wastes just a little bit, because you can spend so much time just being really picky about saving every little tiny piece of skin when it's just okay to get rid of that.
Okay,
it's trash.
The next step is to cut like rays of the sun. Cut through, not all the way through to the root. We're going to leave about a 1/2 inch or so of that root end to hold it. Went a little too much there. To hold it together as you dice. You're going to cut across there next. And I'm using this locomotive motion.
You don't need to hurry.
And just cutting through there. And this is trash. We don't need that. And repeat.
Okay, so
And what we do with our trash that goes in our trash bowl is we freeze that. We have a bag, a Ziploc bag in our freezer labeled veggies for broth. And later on, when it's time to put together a pot of chicken broth or turkey broth or beef broth, we'll grab that bag out and throw it in our Instant Pot with our bones, and we'll make some great bone broth. And we have our recipe and video demonstration for that also on our website at thecookingfamily.com.
So now Mommy and Miss Hannah here are going to cut this bag and sort the beans.
Okay, so this is our bag of beans. We're using 1 pound of beans for the 6-quart Instant Pot. And it was loud. And when you're sorting beans, you want to check for things like rocks and little dirt clods. Abraham actually found a kernel of corn in the bag of black-eyed peas he did earlier today. And you want to sort through and look for bad beans that have any bad spots on them. It's not hard, but you just want to kind of comb your hands through and look for beans that don't look like something you would want to eat. These, remember, these are a field product that just came out of the field. They've been washed some by the manufacturer, but not completely. And you just want to make sure that there's nothing in your food that you and your family don't want to eat. So I'm finding a couple of little things here.
This is a great way for little kids like Hannah to get involved in the kitchen because it's not dangerous and they can find wrinkly beans. And you don't want to rinse it until you're finished with the sorting. So
we rinse these because sometimes they have a little bit of layer of dust on them. And you want to get that off. One of my favorite things about the Instant Pot is that you can go from a bag of dried beans to having a wonderful dinner ready in about an hour to an hour and a half. And even if you forgot to soak beans the night before, you can go ahead and still have a great dinner ready. So we just cooked these beans from the dry state, and we're just going to go ahead and pour them in. Come in, girl. Hannah's going to help me. Pouring them right on in here. And we're done.
And then Abraham can come and pour the onions in.
Excellent. Okay, come here, girl.
And then since our ham, you can salt it if you want, but our ham is...
Every time we've made this, the ham has offered plenty of salt seasoning. And we might end up adding a little salt in bowls at the end, but I would not we never have put salt in at this point because that ham is going to season your pot really well and as much as you pretty much need.
So
Okay.
I'm just going to fill this the rest of the way until the liquid max.
So let me show Abigail. This is a 6-quart model, and the most you want to put in your 6-quart is 4 quarts of water, and the pressure cooking max is at the 4-quart line. You can see the pressure cooking max is 2/3 full, but not every model has the 2/3 full. Some say 4 quarts, Our older one has a 10 cup line that we have measured what 4 quarts is, because if you go above that, you could have too much foaming and you just want to stay below or at that line. So that's the most we ever put in when we're pressure cooking. You can fill it fuller than that when you're doing something that's not under pressure, but for pressure, you always want to stay at or below that 2/3 capacity. So now we're going to check our lid, make sure that ring is securely in there, and it is. And we are going to line it up and close the lid. The Ultra has an automatic pressure so that it's always on pressure on sealing when you're cooking. But some different models, the regular Duo, you have to put the float valve to sealing when you want to pressure cook. And we've already got it on and bean chili setting, and the high pressure is what you want to cook your beans with. And we've got keep warm on, and we're going to press, it's actually already started.
So earlier today, we made a different batch, and so it is still up to pressure, and this has been natural releasing for an hour and 16 minutes.
Now, this is a huge batch that we did in the 8 quart. This is the 8 quart model, and so it has 5 1/3 quarts of total volume, and so there's a lot more pressure built up in the 8 quart because it's a larger machine. So, but this has been releasing on its own. That's called natural release for an hour and 17 minutes now. And so we need to release the rest of the steam. And what we're going to do is give it just a careful scooch forward so it doesn't go all over the steam on the cabinet. And I'm going to reach carefully around here, and I'm just going to flip it to venting. It shouldn't be very strong at all. See, it's just barely any. And then the pin dropped.
So you, on a regular basis, you want to have your pot natural releasing for at least 10 minutes before you release the pressure, because your beans need a few more minutes to finish cooking. And
yes, if your recipe says natural release, then they should be counting that time as part of the pressure cooking time. Wait just a second, Abigail. I want to show you when we have just now opened this pot, and we have a few beans that are on top of the ham hock, and those beans are actually going to be a little bit crunchy. And so if you're testing to see whether your beans are done or not, you will want to stir your pot and stir these in. They're mostly done. But if you reach down in here, you'll see that these beans are actually soft and cooked all the way through. And then your ham, look how this ham is just falling off the bone. I'm going to fish the ham out of here.
And then we're going to cut
Here's
it off.
the bone.
We're going to cut off the ham, like I said at the beginning. And we're just going to cut that ham up and throw it back in for the end. And then we serve it up. And earlier today we made cornbread. And so we're going to get that out and cut that up and eat it with dinner tonight.
That's right. So we're just pulling out all this meat. There was quite a bit of meat in here, a couple of smaller bones. You'll find that in the ham hock there are going to be different bones depending on what exact cut your ham shoulder was, or if it was whatever your ham shank. There are going to be different numbers of little bones in here. And I think we've got almost all of it. Here's one more chunk. So this is a very hot pile of meat, and you'll just want to kind of spread it out And you can start letting it cool off with your tongs. I would not want to be touching this. Here we have another little bone, and here's a big bone.
And you can see that some of it is cartilage, and also that the big bone hop, is cut in half, and they did that while cutting it in the spiral ham that it is.
So we've got lots of great ham that's here, and it's going to go right back into our soup after we kind of shred it up here. And
it's okay if you get some beans out, because they'll just go right back in, and then you want to take out any fat that there is left. And
yeah, we don't want big bites of fat. We don't mind some fat in there, but the big bites are kind of unappetizing. Okay, so now we're just going to add these right back into the pot. And
should I get out the cornbread?
just give it 1 second. If you find that your beans are needing a little bit more cooking, you can always turn it back on to saute and let it cook a little bit longer, or you can add pressure. There are lots of different variables that change the cooking time of beans. One is your altitude, another is even if you just bought your beans, they could have been between warehousing and in a package for quite a while. So if you find that your beans are not done to your liking and your family's personal preference, you can always add a little bit of time and pressure cook it again. It won't take nearly as long coming to pressure the second time. Or you can just let it sit and simmer on saute for a little while you heat it up, or while you wait to eat it. Pressure cooking it would be faster, of course. Okay, so now we're going to dish this up. And do you want to get the cornbread out? So there's actually going to move this. Hot pad. So nice, yummy bowl of beans. Ham and bean soup with Great Northern beans. And Abigail's got this wonderful cornbread coming over. Okay, we can slice it over here. Thank you, baby.
Okay.
You gonna slice it up?
Sure.
And I think we've got some butter.
Okay, so I'm just going to slice this in half. And we just made this quick and easy this afternoon. And it's hopefully easy in your
Careful,
house.
girl. Here, turn this. There you go.
And then so I'm just gonna slice this way.
There you go. And you can just take a piece out.
That's not. Can I have a pie plate server? Pie?
No.
No,
Mommy will get it out, baby.
it's not.
It's not. Here, we'll put that butter on there.
That looks good. Okay.
And here you have a nice bowl of beans and some cornbread to enjoy with your family. It's one of the simplest meals you can make, and I feel like just about everybody should know how to put on a good pot of beans. It's cheap, easy food, very filling, and it warms the heart and soul. And so we hope that you have a happy new year and that you enjoy cooking up some ham and beans and enjoying that with your family. Bye.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for watching.